I'll sort of just get started really. I mean, I'm going to first sort of just ask by saying, I mean, your career so far and what we've sort of seen of you is littered with kind of roles that are all so kind of different to the last. I just wondered if that's a kind of conscious decision on your part at this stage in your career to keep showing off your range, or is it hard to have that power over roles? Yeah, are you still just kind of taking what sounds good and seeing what happens?
I think it's like a happy medium. I think as my career, I still consider it still developing. I've only been doing this professionally for about maybe like 6 or 7 years, and I've been really fortunate, like you said, to have those roles that allow me to kind of test my range and take on new challenges. But there are obviously still there's still growth that I'm excited about, and I do think that once I'm able to make more choices about the roles that I take, that I'll just continue to challenge myself to play things that I haven't. I've just been really lucky so far that filmmakers and studios have allowed me and believed that I could play a variety of characters. It's been really fun.
And I ask this sometimes to actors who play detectives in sort of films. I just wonder, when you're playing someone in kind of law enforcement like you are in this movie, do you use real life reference points to help kind of understand the world and the kind of industry, or is the kind of the role of a detective so ingrained into the kind of fabric of cinematic storytelling that actually your reference points end up being other movies?
I think you can do other movies. I think the fun thing about playing somebody in law enforcement is there's just no real rule book other than the job that they do in itself. I think as far as the personality of the character goes, it really gives you a lot of freedom to kind of paint the canvas and make each person interesting. You know what I mean? I think you're in a dangerous place where you look at the person that you're playing and it's like, well, who is he or she? And it's like, he's a cop, that's what he does, but who is he? But this particular time, I was really lucky because one of my best and closest childhood friends is an FBI agent currently, and so I was able to talk to him, and he was super excited about this movie, of course, because he was like, "Dude, like you're playing me," and I'm like, "I'm not playing you, but." I would like to know, what your day to day is like, and how much kind of freedom you have to express yourself in the work environment and stuff like that. So I had a lot of fun kind of picking his brain and using certain things about him and the character that I know he'd be excited to hear. But
I always just imagine it must be so sort of great to kind of pick up all these little skills and enter into all these different bodies and minds, like a bit like a sponge. I mean, in Babylon, there was obviously the trumpet for starters. I mean,
right.
do you feel like acting is a great way to kind of explore humanity? I mean, I've asked actors before, like as a kid, what did you want to be when you were older? And they might
Mhm.
say, oh, I wanted to be an astronaut or a cop. One actor said he wanted to be a tiger, but your profession is one of those rare professions where you can kind of do all of those things.
Well, absolutely, I agree. That's a great way to put it, and I think that is the job of the actor. I think it gets a bit frustrating when people kind of have those. They're kind of complex debates about what actors should play what roles and things like that. I mean, it's always going to be a mucky conversation because I do think that diversity is important, but at its core, the definition of an actor or their journey, their assignment is to be someone that they are not. That's what it is. And like you said, you get to explore different cultures and different lifestyles that are different than your own. That's the assignment. Otherwise, it's like, you're in a documentary or docuseries or something, and what's the fun in that?
We're talking of docuseries. I mean, there's obviously such a kind of culture at the moment for docuseries and stuff on Netflix about kind of this our morbid fascination for kind of serial killers. And I think this film, To Catch a Killer, plays into that kind of thing as well. Are you one of those people that find yourself kind of trawling through Wikipedia things and watching kind of documentaries? Because I know we're all a little bit obsessed with it, but some people are a bit more arm's length with serial killers.
No, I've definitely deep dove into those docuseries on Netflix, like the John Wayne Gacy's and the Night Stalkers and all of those different things. I mean, because once you get into them, it's like it's hard to not get hooked and watch the entire collection in one bit. But I think again, it's just people's fascination with the lifestyle. I guess the machinations of the brain of someone who is capable of doing that and doing it without feeling. Or in John Wayne Gacy's case, I mean, he certainly had emotions about it, but he was just connected to what he was doing in such a personal way that is unusual. So I think people naturally, it's a character study that people want to learn about.
Yeah. I was going to ask as well about just the cast, because I mean, obviously, I think with Babylon you had an incredible kind of cast, but on this, I mean, Shailene,
Absolutely.
I mean, Ben Mendelsohn, I just love. He's so good and everything. I mean, how much is it? You mentioned about kind of being an actor, just like getting into the roles of other people, but you're kind of playing with like, I suppose if you want to call it play, you're kind of playing with all these kind of actors at the top of their game. Do you feel in the moment when you're on set with kind of great actors, you know, be it Brad Pitt, be it Ben Mendelsohn or Shailene Woodley, do you feel kind of like, this is like, shit, this is quite cool? Or are you too into the character to kind of appreciate that in the moment?
There has never been a project that I've done where I didn't take a moment to like express like, holy shit, this is really fucking cool that I'm getting to work with people that I've been fans of. I'm a lover of movies. I get that from really both my parents, but majorly from my father, who is a cinephile. So I've watched a lot of these people before I even, you know, started acting or picked up or got into this career. So getting a chance to work with them on this level and for them to trust me as a castmate and a colleague is an honor. And I've had a blast every time I've gotten a chance to work with people like that. And on this film specifically, Shailene and Ben, they're pros. And then we had a lot of fun and we were able to bounce off. And I do consider it playing. Yes, that's what it is. We play and we come up with ideas, only go on set, and you know, we trust each other to be full and sincere. And I think it just makes the whole team to shine better.
You mentioned your dad being a cinephile. Do you remember, did you have a kind of a moment, a kind of a cinematic moment, like a film you went to go and see as a kid or something that kind of really changed your life?
100%. I would say Gladiator.
Mm.
When he took me to see Gladiator as a kid, getting a chance to see just really high and well put together performances. I think Joaquin Phoenix's performance in playing Commodus in that film was probably a turning point for me, because as a kid, you always know you play the games like cops and robbers and, you know, cowboys and Indians, whatever. And you always know there's the good guys versus the bad guys, even though in reality that's not true. It's, you know, circumstances and whatever. But I couldn't understand why I was so intrigued with watching Joaquin Phoenix, and I knew he was the bad guy. And I was like, I don't know what he's doing. He's performing well, but I, as a child, was like, I don't know what he's doing, but I like watching him do it. And that's what got me into wanting to entertain the idea of performing myself.
Talking of bad guys, I mean, I know you probably can't speak much about the character, but I'm looking at the kind of Pennywise film that you're involved in, Welcome to Derry.
Oh, right.
I know you obviously won't be able to talk about your character or anything. Can you tell me a bit about the excitement and just signing up to a project and stepping into that world, into that universe, I suppose?
I am jazzed beyond belief, my friend. I think Andy and Barbara and Jason and Bradley, the entire creative team behind the show, I think that they have such an appreciation and respect for the mythology that Stephen has created in these books and for the films that they've done. And so it's just really excited to hear and see their vision for the series and wanting me to be a part of it in such a big way. And so I'm super pumped, man. That's why I told you, like, I'm really excited to get to where we're going to film and just dive into it. It's an entire world that they're building, and it's going to be so awesome. I can't wait.
You seem to have such a kind of passion for just this craft and for sort of movies and stuff. I guess, is that partly what attracted you to Babylon? Because Babylon feels like a love letter to cinema in many ways.
Absolutely, that's what it is. I think everyone who was involved in Babylon has that same type of kind of romantic feeling towards movies. You know, I think Damián definitely expressed that early on in filming. Like, this is what we really want to do. You know, we want to show that, you know, the things that we love about movies, the things that we hate about movies, no matter what, we have an appreciation for the evolution and the history of filmmaking. And so I think everyone came in with that kind of like-mindedness, and we just knew that we had a big spectacle to try to put together, and it was so fun doing it, man. I think it's passion for sure. I really love what I do.
Oh, I just absolutely love that film. But my very final question is, because I know you're sort of a British American actor. I just wondered, do you still have ties to England? Do you ever head back?
Of course. So I was there last year doing a television show for Netflix, and I was there for about a year. But even without doing that job, I have family that still lives there. I'm a dual citizen. And I like to try to go once or twice a year if I'm not working, but I'm a workaholic, so it always ends up being a bit further in between for trips. But yeah, I love England. That's 100% my second home, and I have a strong support system and community there. So it's, even though I was raised predominantly here in the States, me and my mother and my brother always go over there all the time.
Yeah, well, your career's going so well, we might have to claim you eventually.
Come on now. Hey, you can claim me now. You know, it's all family.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for your time today, man. And best of luck with your trip to Toronto as well.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey, you guys!
Hey you guys.
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey you guys.
Hey, you guys!